in various areas. That increased at the time that Fannie and Freddie, about 30% of their loans were extended to people below the median. By '96, it was mandated to increase to 40%. By 2000, it was mandated to increase to 50%. And by 2008, it was mandated to increase to 56%. So just steadily increasing the share of loans that are extended by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to people with lower income. And not only, again, mandating the amount of loans that they would extend, but essentially requiring lower down payments, or asking them to require lower down payments as well. Now, why this is so important is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are not just some kind of two lending companies. They dominate the mortgage market. They were roughly increased from around 25% in the early 1990s to 45% of the mortgage market by the year 2000, and they've remained in this sort of 40 to 45% range since that particular time. Now, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac do not originate loans. They operate in what we call the secondary market, and that is to say they purchase loans from originators. But the kind of loans that they're willing to purchase, in fact, as we talked about, mandated to purchase, greatly influences the types of loans that are extended by the originators. And that because they're passed along, that the originator, to Fannie and Freddie, the originators, they don't have that much incentive to sort of scrutinize what the creditworthiness is. That in the late 90s and on into 2000, a number of local banks and other lending institutions were extending loans to people who they normally would not have extended loans to because they knew that they were shaky loans. But their thought process was, or indeed the incentive structure they confronted, was we're going to be passing these along to Fannie and Freddie and perhaps others that are purchasing securitized loans, and in which case we don't have to worry that much about the creditworthiness of the borrower. And so you had an enormous increase in the number of subprime loans. It increased in 1994, subprime loans were about 4% of the market. By 2000, they were up to around 13% of all mortgages initiated. And by 2005, that they had risen to 2005, 2006, had risen to roughly 20% of the mortgage market. So you're extending a lot more loans to people who are less able to pay them back, if you like. Now, that's particularly important because the foreclosure rate on subprime loans ranges from 7 to 10 times the rate on prime loans. So I've told you economics is not rocket science. Now, is it really complex that you start extending a lot more loans to people who are less creditworthy, less likely to be able to pay them back, that you're going to have an increase